Hello, and welcome to my quick overview of Yerevan, Armenia. I lived here for a couple of months earlier this year, and I'm likely going back this fall for at least a little while, so I decided it was time to finally make something to tell people about this really cool and very underrated city. I should mention that I am far from an expert on the city, but I did learn a bit about its history while I was living there, and I also took a class on the history of the South Caucasus region, so I've done my best to make sure that the information here is accurate. Yerevan is the capital of Armenia, one of the 3 countries in the South Caucasus. It's south of Georgia, west of Azerbaijan, east of Turkey, and north of Iran. It's technically in Asia, but it's part of the Eurovision Song Contest, so make of that what you will. On this map, Armenia is labeled in Armenian as Hayastan, the Armenian name for the country. You can see Yerevan labeled in Latin letters right underneath. Next up, some quick history. Yerevan has an incredibly long history going back to the ancient Urartian society. Erebuni, as it was originally called, was first settled more than 2,750 years ago, and one of the most significant structures in the area was a massive fort overlooking the foothills of Mount Ararat. Much of the fort is still preserved, although it's no longer the center of Yerevan. Here we can see some of the remaining walls left of the archaeological preserve. A number of cuneiform inscriptions were found in this area, showing information about some of the region's earliest rulers. Today, this fortress also overlooks much of the downtown area of modern Yerevan, located roughly to the north-northeast of the ancient site. Yerevan was the capital of the Soviet Republic of Armenia as well, and today there's still quite a bit of Soviet influence that can be seen throughout the city. Some of the most famous Soviet Armenian figures, like composer Aram Khachaturian and painter Martyros Saryan, are remembered with house museums in Yerevan, a type of museum prevalent throughout the post-Soviet space. Non-Soviet Armenians have museums like this as well. Like poet and author Hovhannes Tumanyan, who wrote some of the most famous Armenian fairy tales and operas. Other lingering influences from the Soviet era are governmental support for the arts, intense amounts of complicated bureaucracy, and a high percentage of the population who speak Russian as well as Armenian. So, now that we've briefly gone over where it is and a bit of its history, let's look at Yerevan today. I lived in the central district of the city known as Kentron, which is basically everything within the circular area on this map. Yerevan does extend beyond this map's borders, but for today, I'm just going to focus on Kentron. This is the area with the most museums, parks, and major governmental structures. The National Assembly is one such governmental structure, and while I wasn't able to ever go inside, I'm not even sure if foreigners are allowed to take tours, to be honest. I always enjoyed walking past it. It's definitely one of the most beautiful governmental buildings I've seen. One of the most popular areas of Yerevan is a place called the Cascade. This place is a monument, a park, and a center for the arts, and it's such an amazing place to just sit and enjoy the beautiful weather. If you decide to make the trek all the way up the hundreds of steps, you're rewarded with possibly the best view of the city, and on a clear day you can make out both peaks of Mount Ararat. The large building you can see in the lower right of this image is the future Charles Aznavour House Museum, which I believe is set to open sometime later this year. At the top of the cascade, there's a monument to 50 years of Soviet Armenia, which I believe was constructed in 1967, even though Armenia hadn't immediately joined the Soviet Union in 1917. Along the many hundreds of steps along the cascade are sculptures, fountains, and small galleries located within the structure, and the grassy area in front of it is home to more works of art. My personal favorite is this statue of a kiwi by an American artist named Peter Wojtuk from 2011. Heading south from the cascade, you come to the Opera House, home to the National Opera and Ballet. This is an absolutely gorgeous building. It's not the largest opera house in the world, but the design is pretty neat, and the lobby areas are also beautiful, and also feature works of art. One of the most central areas in the city is a place called Republic Square. This is where the majority of government offices are located, as well as the Government House, which is home to the Prime Minister. This image, however, is of the National History Museum. This building is actually also home to the National Art Gallery, the State Museum of Literature and Art, and the Near East Museum, and there might be a few more in there that I missed. Just off of Republic Square is Yerevan's open-air souvenir market called the Vernissage. This is where you can go to buy anything from Soviet memorabilia to beautiful woven carpets, all for perhaps dangerously affordable prices. I apologize for not having more photos of this market. I was a bit too preoccupied to be photographing things when I was there. Both the Vernissage and Republic Square are located relatively close to the Cathedral of St. Gregory the Illuminator, the central cathedral for the Armenian Apostolic Church and the largest Armenian Apostolic cathedral in the world. Well, that, unfortunately, is all I have time to talk about today. There is a ton of important and interesting stuff I wasn't able to include, like the Armenian Genocide Memorial and the Matanadaran Museum and Archive, but hopefully in the future I'll have time to make more specific videos on each of those places. I also haven't addressed Armenian food, which is all amazing and very much deserving of attention. I know this video is only a super brief overview, but I hope it was able to show you at least some of Yerevan's highlights. It's a city I had never planned on visiting, but I am honestly so glad I ended up spending time there, and I'm very much looking forward to going back.